Just ahead on CTV News.
I'm Byron Scott in Annapolis, where there was a second round of bill signings today. We'll have that story coming up.
Plus, Maryland parents head to the Supreme Court in the fight for religious freedom in schools. And
tonight on CTV News, a Maryland lawmaker speaks about how many immigrant communities are feeling since the wrongful deportation of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. I'm Katara Jones. I'll have all those details coming up on CTV News.
Those stories and more on CTV News, starting now.
Good evening. This is CTV News for Tuesday, April 22nd. I'm Michaela Newton.
And I'm Mariah Jalad. Thanks for joining us. Well, from giving citizens a second chance to providing assistance to laid-off federal workers.
Maryland's elected leaders signed a number of bills into law. Byron Scott has more.
This stuff does not happen by accident, and it does not happen just because. It happens because people are here and willing to push and urge.
The first bill signed into law today was the Expungement Reform Act. Under the measure, some misdemeanors, like alcohol offenses and some cannabis offenses, can be expunged.
Marylanders should have the opportunity to go before a judge and petition for an appeal on their sentence.
Also, some felonies like marijuana distribution and some domestic-related crimes could also be expunged following a period of time.
It is not a get-out-of-jail-free card. It is making sure we're going to give a look. Given times past, the common belief of justice has evolved since the 80s and early 90s to make sure that we have a justice system that is actually fair and equitable.
We cannot compromise liberties for safety.
Governor Westmore also touted the state's progress in public safety, thanks in part to legislation he signed into law.
We are now on track to have the lowest number of homicides statewide since 2014.
Also signed into law today, the Protect Our Federal Workers Act. It was introduced in the House by Delegate Jazz Lewis.
It's ridiculous. We have the largest number of federal workers per capita in the country, so the mass layoffs hurt us. These layoffs are unlawful. They're unconstitutional. If you're going to do a mass layoff by law, you're supposed to let the state know 60 days ahead of time so you can prepare plans. They aren't doing that. They're firing people for no just cause.
Under the bill, funds in the state's catastrophic account can be used to support out-of-work federal workers.
There are over 260,000 federal workers who live in the state of Maryland. There are over 160,000 federal jobs in the state of Maryland. These are our people, and they are under attack.
Earlier this month, the governor signed more than 90 bills into law. Today, more than 140. Byron Scott, CTV News.
And the nation's eyes are on Maryland as a Montgomery County case in the Supreme Court could set a historic precedent in inclusive education. The nation's highest court heard arguments today surrounding parents' rights to opt out their children from reading LGBTQ plus friendly books in the classroom. Montgomery County advocates from both sides of the issue gathered outside of the Supreme Court building today, hoping their cause prevails.
So what we're asking the county is to restore that right. It's been there for decades. It is not a new thing we're asking. So restore our rights. They can keep the books. They can read it to their children. If there are parents who feel this is appropriate for their 3-year-old, 4-year-old, and elementary kids, they can teach it to them. But we don't think it's right. We don't want it read to our kids. We want to know when it's being read, so there has to be transparency.
I want their peers to also have that ability to embrace each other's diverse identities, to develop empathy for difference. And to do that, we need to celebrate and have inclusive curricula and education.
Right now, parents can only opt out their child from receiving curriculum surrounding sex education.
Well, the mistaken deportation of Kilmar Abrego Garcia has shed a national spotlight on how the Trump administration is conducting deportation.
Here in Maryland, many immigrant communities are concerned about whether they, too, will be separated from their families. CTV's Katara Jones chats with a Maryland lawmaker about this growing issue.
Delegate Danny Tavares represents Prince George's in the Maryland General Assembly. She says since the inauguration of Donald Trump, many immigrant communities have been concerned and worried about deportation.
I think we've been on our toes since the inauguration.
The Trump administration has continued to spark fear over deportation amongst Latino immigrants. Despite this, Delegate Danny Taveras says immigrant rights advocacy groups like CASA have been preparing for this moment.
We've been getting ready for a while with instituting Know Your Rights seminars, webinars, and letting people know what to do. At this time, those are very critical and serious, because it's not only understanding that they should remain silent at all times, that they have the 14th Amendment on their side.
As immigration takes center stage during the Trump presidency, all of this is happening as the fight to bring Kilmar Abrego Garcia, a Prince George's County man who was wrongfully deported to an El Salvadorian prison, back home. Taveras gives some sage advice to residents who have protected status.
To me, this is not the time to travel outside the country, because people are being detained, people are being forced to give up their rights as legal status citizens within the country, and because they may not be aware of what they're reading or what their rights are, they may be signing over their rights unbeknownst to them.
Taveras says she's happy that the Maryland General Assembly passed the Maryland Values Act, which will better protect the state's immigrant communities. Katira Jones, CTV News.
All right, well, Katira, thanks so much. Meanwhile, Catholics the world over will say their final farewell to Pope Francis this weekend. The funeral service for Pope Francis is scheduled for Saturday at 10 a.m. in St. Peter's Square in Rome. Currently, the Pope's body is laid out in state in his private chapel at the Vatican. President Trump has ordered U.S. flags lowered to half-staff and will remain there until sunset on the day of the funeral. Pope Francis died yesterday morning from a cerebral stroke. His death marked the end of a 12-year papacy. Pope Francis was 88 years old.
And a major legal battle is brewing between Uber and the Federal Trade Commission. The FTC is suing the rideshare app, accusing the company of enrolling users into its Uber One subscription without consent and making cancellations needlessly hard. This despite promises of cancel anytime. The suit claims Uber billed users early, hid terms in fine print, and forced some to click through up to 32 screens just to cancel. Now, Uber calls the suit baseless, saying most users cancel in-app in under 20 seconds.
Worried about how tariffs could hit your wallet and your stock portfolio? Well, analysts say giants like Walmart, Costco, BJ's, and Kroger are better shielded from tariff fallout thanks to strong domestic supply chains and low reliance on imported goods. These retailers have strong domestic supply chains that could help weather economic turmoil. Analysts say consumer staple stocks could offer stability and even dividends in an uncertain market. You're watching CTV News. I'm Michaela Newton.
And I'm Mariah Jalad. Still to come, she's gone from classroom teacher to national honoree.
Warklet's principal just added a big title to her name. We'll tell you why after the break.
We know the pressure you feel.
They say there are no excuses.
They say to just push harder.
They say to just go faster.
But when we're on the field, they don't know what's going on inside us.
How hard is too hard?
When do we get support?
When do we raise our hand and ask for help?
How are we supposed to feel good in here when that's happening out there?
We need each other.
Love, your mind.
When a child is fighting a critical illness, there's one truth that touches us all. Every child deserves a childhood. A wish is more than one joyful moment. It sparks a ripple of hope that transforms communities far and wide, even yours. When we grant wishes together, we unlock something bigger, an irresistible movement of kindness, strength, and unity. A spark that uplifts us all.
The whole spirit of what Make-A-Wish is and does, that isn't just life-changing for one individual or one family. That is world-changing.
Become a wishmaker today and be part of a journey that truly changes lives.
A Hyattsville woman who struck and killed 2 students in a crosswalk 2 years ago pleads guilty in court last week. 52-year-old Olga Luga Jimenez was originally set to go on trial for manslaughter charges until she pled guilty to 2 counts of driving a vehicle into a crosswalk and contributing to an accident. Jimenez is now set to face a maximum punishment of 4 months in jail, which meets the state's statute meant to protect pedestrians when using crosswalks. Jimenez still faces civil lawsuits brought by the victims' families.
We're honoring one principal in Prince George's who is representing the entire state in leadership. Dr. Ryan Daniel, principal at Fort Foote Elementary School, takes home the National Distinguished Principal Award. Take a look.
An emotional surprise as students lined the hallways of Fort Foote Elementary School, giving Dr. Ryan Daniel her flowers.
So when my school community surprised me about it, I was shocked. I lined up the hallways, every student had a flower and was congratulating me, and I had no idea what anybody was congratulating me for as I was crying down the hallway.
Daniel was honored with the National Distinguished Principal Award, a once-in-a-lifetime award only one principal in the entire state of Maryland receives.
My entire tenure has been in Prince George County Public Schools. I am a product of Prince George County Public School, which was something that was important for me.
Thumbs down. Does she change colors?
It's her passion for kids that keeps her going, and the students at Fort Foote Elementary that keeps her coming back each day.
I have always loved children. And I remember my mother always tells me, I used to kind of teach and line my teddy bears up at home. That was my idea of playing.
And while her many accolades shows her hard work and dedication, her journey wasn't easy, but she tells me it was worth it.
The biggest challenge when I got here to Fort Foote was the change in demographics and the resources not up to speed with the change in demographics. But what was different is having to shift the mindset of the community that the demographics have changed, and so the resources has changed. So that has been the most challenging, but yet rewarding, because we've seen so much growth. I just know that my story is just one highlight of the great work that principals are doing in Maryland and in Prince George County Public Schools.
Meanwhile, Maryland lawmakers passed a bill that would better track the state's backlog of nursing home inspections. Senate Bill 376 would require the Maryland Department of Health to provide a quarterly report to lawmakers on its progress in tackling the state's nursing home inspections. Maryland has 220 nursing homes. However, reports show that the state has held inspections of more than half of those facilities within the last 16 months. The bill is awaiting the governor's signature.
And the nation's top scientists are warning the United States could soon fall from its top spot in the field due to Trump administration cuts. Funding has been frozen or cut to grants to scientific institutions and universities, and certain federal scientific agencies have been shrunk or totally abolished. Scientists say the country's long reputation as the strongest in science will come to an end unless the cuts are reversed. One estimate says cuts to the National Institute of Health could result in $16 billion of economic loss. And while you might notice hotter summers and colder winters, it can be hard to quantify the effects of climate change. But the state's comptroller has set out to put a price tag on the effects climate change has had on Maryland.
We don't exactly know what that number is, but what we do know is that we need to drill down on it. I'm sorry, I don't mean drill. I mean, we need to dig. No, we don't need to drill. We don't need to dig. We need a study.
In the last 40 years, Maryland spent between $10 and $20 billion recovering from extreme weather events. That's according to the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, and that's a big range. But today, Comptroller Brooke Learman unveiled her climate change cost report to get a better idea of the total Maryland has spent.
We know that it's both extreme weather events and the rising sea levels. Those are the two types of climate change effects that are most dramatically impacting Maryland. And that it's just a huge range of effects, from insurance prices rising for homeowners in some places, crop damage, whether from heavy sun or from encroaching salt water.
While the costs of climate change may be unavoidable, the Comptroller's office is advocating for mitigation plans that will generate savings over the long term. That's taking a preventative approach to climate action to protect Maryland's ecosystems and people.
Today is Earth Day. It's an important day to both reflect on the importance of the earth and our environment, but also it's a time to renew a renewed call to action, right? To recognize the progress that we've made, but also to hold ourselves accountable to do more.
And you can read the full climate report at marylandcomptroller.gov/research.
Well, a student loan shockwave is coming, and Maryland will feel it. Starting May 5th, the Department of Education will restart collections on defaulted federal student loans, ending a 5-year pandemic pause. In Maryland, over 830,000 borrowers hold nearly $44,000 each, among the highest in the nation. Education Secretary Linda McMahon says it's time for accountability and criticized the Biden administration for giving false hope of forgiveness. Email notices are going out urging defaulted borrowers to repay or enroll in income-based plans. Nationwide student loan debt tops $1.6 trillion. And still to come on CTV News,
Bryce Parker takes us to the Youth Gridiron.
We are here at Northwest Stadium where hundreds of kids from across the DMV are honing their skills with the pros. I'm Bryce Parker. We'll have all those details coming up on CTV News.
All right, ready, you guys? You guys gotta be loud though, okay? Let's go! Okay, repeat after me.
Yes, sir.
I am
Somebody.
I may be young, but I am somebody. I may be small, but I am
Somebody.
My clothes are different. My face is different. My hair is different. But I am somebody. I must be respected. Protected. Never rejected. But I am somebody. I am somebody. I am somebody. I am somebody.
Somebody.
Nothing you could say could tear me away from my dog. My dog is Shallow, y'all. Hi, I'm Smokey Robinson. Did you know that every year over 4 million pets find their way into shelters across the United States? For nearly 150 years, my friends at American Humane Society have been champions for animals, working tirelessly to rescue, care for, and protect them in crisis situations. Their work not only saves lives, but also strengthens the incredible bond between humans and animals, bringing comfort, companionship, and unconditional love. When you adopt a shelter pet, you not only bring joy and love into your home, but you also give another animal the chance to experience that special bond. Please join me in supporting American Humane Society and their incredible work to help our most vulnerable friends. Together, we can make a real difference.
Well, some Maryland universities aren't backing down from supporting DEI policies and programs, despite the risk of potentially losing federal funding. In a statement, the University of Maryland College Park says it will continue to value an inclusive learning and working environment where all students and employees can succeed and thrive. Reports also show that the University of Maryland Baltimore lost $5.87 million in research funding.
Well, the Chesapeake Bay Bridge isn't at high risk for collapse, but it doesn't meet modern safety standards for ship collisions either. That's according to Maryland transportation officials, who reviewed the bridge after the Francis Scott Key Bridge disaster in Baltimore. Still, the state isn't waiting around. The Maryland Transportation Authority says it's rolling out new safety measures like slowing ship traffic, changing how vessels pass under the bridge, and possibly adding physical protections like pier fenders.
And one of the world's biggest attractions, it's making its way back to the county, this time with a new under-the-sea twist. Big Bounce America, the world's biggest bounce house, is coming back to Fort Washington next month. This year's newest addition is the Octoblast, which is a deep-sea world bouncer and foam party with a DJ. The bounce house will be here from May 10th through the 25th. For more information on tickets, visit thebigbounceamerica.com.
All right, Mariah, how would you like to be a Commanders for the day?
I'm going to say I probably would not enjoy it as a Dallas Cowboys fan, but today over 200 kids across the DMV got a taste to be a Commander. So CTV's Bryce Parker is at Northwest Stadium with more.
So running out of the tunnel of an NFL stadium is every child's dream, including mine. And today, hundreds of kids in the DMV region got a chance to live out that childhood dream.
I'm actually feeling nervous but really excited. I'm a huge Commanders fan too.
Huge Commanders fan? Who's your favorite player?
Danny Daniels.
Flagstar Football and the Washington Commanders have come together to create a football experience that these kids will never forget.
We asked the kids in the beginning, like how many of them were like really serious about they wanted to be in the NFL, you know? And I think the best thing about kids is that it's almost every single hand came up, you know? So it's like they're glad to be here, but also this is where they want to be.
I used to be them. I was this with Steve McNair was throwing the campus in Jackson, Mississippi. I know how easy it is to see somebody that you see on TV, and now you start to believe I can go do that. Like something you can touch, see, and feel, and I think that's what the community needs.
This spring and summer, Flagstar and the Commanders will host 40 day-long and week-long camps all over the DMV. But for the 200 young men and women who showed up to Northwest Stadium today, they got the chance to perform on the biggest stage.
We have to reinfuse the youth when it comes to this fan base, and this is how you do them. You let them live a dream for just one day on this field. They get up every Sunday. This is a part of their ritual with their mom and their dad. Now they get to come out here and play in the same field that Jaden Daniels played. They'll never forget it.
Teaching them skills that they can use on the field.
Probably tackling, that was really fun. Or this racing, that was also really fun.
And life lessons that they can carry with them off the field.
Not let my pride take over me. Don't be nervous, it's fun. They'll accept you with open arms. Have a ball out.
Gotcha. Would you come back?
Yes, definitely. Yes, I would. It's really fun here and I really like it.
In Landover, I'm Bryce Parker, CTV News.
Those kids really have some skills. They know what they're doing out there.
I love the enthusiasm, and you know, maybe they'll be suiting up for the Commanders, but even better if they come to the Cowboys in the future.
Oh man. All right, well now Simon Buggs is here with a preview of the Tuesday Sports page.
And what's going on in the sports world, Simon?
Hey there everyone, don't move a muscle because coming right up, NFL prospect Dante Trader touches on what he can bring to an NFL team. Here he had to say right here on CTV Sports. Be right back.
For the curiosity that compels us to look closer, dig deeper, reach further. For the passion to explore, to see, to know. That drives us to nurture connections, deepen empathy, and expand horizons. For the joy of discovery right now, and all the endless potential of what comes next. This is what we strive for.
Awesome.
Since 1888, the National Geographic Society has championed generations of explorers to ask questions, share stories, and open minds.
Wow.
And today, our mission is more urgent, dynamic, and vital than ever. Because in our hearts, we believe protecting the vibrancy of our world isn't just possible, it's essential. And we believe there's always another wonder for us to go and find. Will you join us? National Geographic Society. Wonder awaits.
Danny. See me after class. Okay, so, Jennifer? Yeah? Okay, let me know.
Danny, I
just got this notice from your school. We need to talk. This is important. We need to talk.
Danny, wake up!
Oh, that'll be good. Danny! Laps. Danny! She's overdosing.
When no one else knows what to do, it's gotta be you. Carrying the Lock Zone, you could save a life.
Man, I love that intro. It just gets you so hyped, doesn't it? And with that, it's time for the Tuesday Sports Page. Now, football fans, the NFL draft is only 2 days away. Hundreds of young men will be tuned into this exciting event to see whether or not a team will take a chance on them, including Terps defensive back Dante Trader Jr. The Delaware native has had a huge impact on the team during his time in College Park. And as he looks to make an impact at the professional level, the 22-year-old gave his thoughts on what an NFL team is getting when they draft him.
You're getting a high IQ player that has position flexibility, played in multiple schemes, played against multiple offenses. You know, I had the ability to line everybody up and myself, also pair that with my instincts, and then I always predicate on myself of being a pest in the game, being always in the screen, running, hitting, and tackling, and making sure people feel my intensity.
Looking forward to seeing your name get called, Dante. In other news, a big shout out to Lady Terps lacrosse player Corey Edmondson for being named the Big Ten Midfielder of the Week. This comes after she played a big role in the team's wins against Rutgers and Johns Hopkins last week. In the two matchups, Edmondson recorded 6 goals, 5 draw controls, 4 ground balls, and 4 caused turnovers. This is the 6th time the Severn, Maryland native has earned this award. She and the rest of the team will face off next against Rutgers in the first round of the Big Ten tournament tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Now to the world of high school sports. There's some action on the diamond right now as Parkdale is taking on Laurel. Wise is trying to get just the 3rd win of the season versus Eleanor Roosevelt. Flowers and Bowie are matching up against one another. And finally, the Frederick Douglass Eagles flew into Largo to try and come out on top against the Lions. All games began at 4:30. Meantime, the Washington Capitals came away with a win in their playoff series versus the Montreal Canadiens. The Caps took down Montreal 3-2 and now have a 1-0 lead in the series. The two teams will take the ice for Game 2 tomorrow at 7 o'clock. And wrapping up sports, it's a great day for Orioles and Nationals fans as the Battle of the Beltway begins tonight. The Birds and Nats will take the field against one another at 6:45. And that wraps up your Tuesday Sports Page. Back to you at the desk, guys.
All right, thanks, Simon. Now let's get a look at our 3-day weather forecast tonight to end this absolutely beautiful Earth Day. Mostly cloudy skies with a low of 56. Wednesday, mostly sunny with a high of 76 and a low of 53. Thursday, mostly sunny, temps will rise to 77 and fall to 63. Friday, partly sunny with a chance of showers after 2 p.m. and a high of 77 and low of 63.
And for our community calendar, tee up for business and community impact. The Prince George's Chamber of Commerce is hosting its annual golf tournament and fundraiser on Thursday, May 15th at Oak Creek Golf Club in Upper Marlboro. It's a day of networking, great food, raffle prizes, and every swing supports local economic initiatives. To register or learn more, head to pgcoc.org/golf event. And that wraps up CTV News for now. Thanks so much for joining us.
We'll see you again tomorrow. Good night.
Standing for the cause of liberty is as old as our country itself.
It is the American story, a story of fallible people
united across the generations by grand and enduring ideals.
The time has come to reaffirm our enduring spirit, to carry forward that promise that all are equal and all deserve a chance to pursue their full measure of happiness.